Today I want to talk about Iceborne, Monster Hunter World Iceborne. If you guys saw my videos last week, then you'll of course know I had a chance to go hands-on with the game again at a preview event. Really cool. Capcom invited me down. It was a super cool setting. There was like this underground area where they sort of had fake snow everywhere, which completely ruined my trainers, by the way, but that's a story for another time. Fake snow everywhere, they had like food there, it was a really cool setup, but let's be honest, you guys don't really care about that. You care about the game, and that's what I want to talk about today. I just want to sort of sit down, now that I've uploaded some gameplay, which if you guys have missed, by the way, then you should definitely check it out. Those videos can all be found over on the channel. There's Viper tobi-kadachi, there's Coral Puke, there is Nightshade Paolumu, trying to remember all the names off the top of my head, and Fulga Anjanath, as well as some customization options, some stuff looking at the armor sets as well. Basically a lot of cool stuff to check out. But all of this was taken from the first 4 hours of the game. So it's basically giving me a chance to, you know, jump in, get a feel for how the game's going to begin, and of course pair that with the fact that a lot of us have had a chance to go hands-on with the beta, so we've all got to check out the new features, things like Clutch Claw, some of the new weapon moves, loads of cool stuff. So I feel like I'm in a really good position now whereby, you know, I'm kind of getting a good feel for Iceborne as an expansion. Obviously there is still so much more to experience. I mean, you know, the developers have said that it's going to, you know, mirror or kind of match the size of the original game, so I expect there to be lots more stuff. There's still plenty of monsters that I'm sure they have yet to reveal. There might even be, and I'm kind of hoping, there might even be like a lot of monsters that they don't reveal, because it's that weird sort of thing, right? Where like in games marketing and just like marketing in general, obviously you want to tell people about a lot of things because players want to know, right? They're like, it's an expansion, I want to know what I'm getting out of this. If I'm going to be paying for this, I want to know what my money's going to get me. So I completely understand the notion of telling people a lot of things, revealing a lot of things, and it's really cool. I love the way that they've been revealing monsters. I love the fact that at the end of each of the trailers, it kind of reminds me of sort of how they revealed like some Street Fighter characters in the past, but like the fact that at the end of each of the new trailers, we basically get a tease for another returning monster. That's really cool. So I do love that stuff, but it's the same stuff that I say about Pokemon. Like, I really want there to be that surprise as well, because I kind of go back to when I first started playing Monster Hunter back in like Freedom Second or Freedom Unite. Like, I didn't know any of the monsters, so everything to me was a massive surprise. So I do still want there to be a lot of that, and you know, to be fair, Capcom are pretty good at that. They always still tend to keep like a couple of things really kind of close to their chest, especially in Monster Hunter. It's invariably like the big monster fights, like the Endgame monster, so to speak. You know, prior to launch of World, we never saw about Zanajiva in previous games. You know, we didn't necessarily see about things like Lao Shan or like some of the other monsters. So, you know, I'm confident that there's going to be a lot of cool surprises. But the point I'm getting at, in this sort of like really long roundabout way, is that I do still hope that there are lots of surprises that we have yet to see. Anyway, that aside, let me talk a little bit about the game. So, when I had a chance to jump in, of course, I started off from the very beginning, and first part, playthrough on my own, played through the initial cutscene. The very first thing you actually get to fight is Beatodus, and he's kind of tanky, right? He's basically like your reminder that this is G rank. Now, he wasn't an exceptionally tough fight, but he's got a lot of health. Took a little bit longer, obviously bearing in mind that, you know, you're going to be taking high rank gear into this fight. So naturally, one of your first G rank fights, if any of you guys are new to these kind of expansions, if you've never played, you know, if World was your first Monster Hunter game, so therefore this is your first taste of G rank or Master rank, then your first fight is always a wake-up call, right? Because you go in, your gear is, you know, naturally the rank lower, so it's going to take you a lot longer to kill the monster. You're going to get hit hard, so obviously the very first thing you do in Master rank is you go and, you know, work on a new armor set. So the Beatodus fight took a little bit longer, but before that, we of course, you know, went through the cutscene. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I want to sort of keep that special, but what I do want to say is that Monster Hunter is not a game that I normally play for story, right? I mean, yes, I'm interested in the lore, yes, I'm interested in, you know, the overarching story, but it's not a game that I play for the story. Like, you could, for all intents and purposes, take the story out of Monster Hunter, and I'm still going to love the game because I play it for fighting the monsters, I play it for the gear, I play it for the grind. That's what I love about the game. However, there was a point during one of the cutscenes, about 2 hours in, where for the first time, I really kind of felt like a personal interest in the story, because I think back to World, and you know, there's the kind of story about all the monsters migrating and moving and stuff, and it's kind of cool. But this one had a slightly more personal angle. I'm not going to say what, because again, I don't really want to sort of like talk about spoiler stuff, but there was a point in the cutscene where suddenly there was a character that I'm now invested in, and I'm like, I actually want to know more about this. I want to see where this story goes, because now you've brought something to the table that, to me, is kind of interesting. Now, again, I don't expect any like super deep, like Lord of the Rings or Metal Gear Solid or Death Stranding style storytelling, but the fact that they kind of have got like a little hook in there where I was like, I'm actually interested in this, makes me excited to sort of see where the story goes. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, I'm sure that'll pan itself out. Lots of kind of cool things to find out there. But of course, outside of that, the main thing worth talking about are the monsters. So I had a chance to fight 3 different subspecies. In fact, my whole play session was Beotodus, Bambaro, 3 subspecies, 4 if you count Fulgur Anjanath just because I wanted to fight it, and Barioth, and that was basically where they were like, you need to stop. You can't play anymore. Barioth was as far as we were allowed to go, so I was kind of hoping I could like sneak past and be like, let me just fight something more. Let me fight, but no. They're like, when you go to those events, they're like, no, this is the end. You cannot go any further. I'm like, okay, thank you. Yeah, but the subspecies are really cool. So again, like a lot of people, if you've seen them, then you should have sort of like noticed that they are, they're different in their own right. Yes, of course, they are still, a derivative of the pre-existing monster. That's, hence why they're a subspecies. But what I really liked about these ones is they actually felt quite a bit different to the originals. Whereas if you kind of go back to like previous Monster Hunter games, or even some of the ones in World, like say Pink Rathian and Rathian, or Azure Rathalos and Rathalos, subspecies always have like a unique move, or a couple of unique moves. They behave slightly differently, but if you look at the, say, like Rathalos Rathian setup, they're quite similar, right? So you could be forgiven for thinking, no, there's not that many differences. But with these ones, I noticed quite a lot of behavior changes. You think about something like Puke, for example, a monster that's really cool, but never really got much attention, and Coral Puke behaves very, very differently. Having the water beam, you could have on one hand just been like, oh, we're gonna push out water attacks and just swap out the poison attacks for water attacks. But it behaves very, very differently from the way that it, puts its head down on the ground and drinks water out whilst firing out of its tail. The fact that it jumps up and creates this long laser beam with the water. It's got this one where it hovers in the sky and starts spinning around in a circle, firing out this huge water beam. There's a lot of things for Coral Puke, for example, where behavior-wise it is very different to the original. So, I feel like that's a big departure from the whole like Rathian, Pink Rathian, Rathalos kind of setup where, there's like 2 notable moves that are like unique to them, and otherwise they, for all intents and purposes, behave the same. And the same can be said for, say, Viper tobi-kadachi. Tobi-kadachi, of course, you normally fight him in the ancient forest. He jumps between trees, whereas when we were fighting him in Horforest Reach, there's less for him to jump off of. So as a result of it, he becomes a lot more, mobile in the air just by himself. And if you pair that with the fact that he's got all these sweeping tail attacks where he kicks out poison, again, he behaves quite differently. And the same also for Nightshade Paolumu. He's actually got this really crazy move where he starts flying around like a madman and then just darts towards you. So I feel like for these ones especially, and keep in mind that this is something that we've often seen in Master Rank anyway. Whenever you have subspecies, they have different moves. Whenever you have Master Rank, they invariably also have additional movement patterns. So when you kind of combine these together, although, yes, we are still fighting a variant of a tobi-kadachi, or a Paolumu, or a Puke, I feel like the way they designed them this time makes them a lot more unique, and they generally do feel like brand new fights, and not just these, like, reskins with a couple of new moves. So, if that's the case, it makes me incredibly excited to fight something like Acidic Glavenus, because Glavenus is one of my favourite monsters already, so I cannot wait to fight that, because if they're putting all of that love and care and attention into remaking the subspecies and kind of making them interesting, then, I'm very, very interested. In fact, there was the trophy list came out the other day, and I don't like to talk about this stuff too much because, of course, it's not necessarily official or confirmed. But one thing I do want to touch on is that in the trophy list they called out Ruiner and Nergigante. Now, if that's the case, if there's a subspecies for that, that's gonna be exciting. So yeah, I think basically what I want to sort of take away from that is that having fought these 3 subspecies for monsters that in the past you might not deem that interesting, and having them actually be these cool new fights does make me pretty excited for what else they're gonna do in Iceborne. And of course, again, keep in mind that I'm in low tier stuff. Everything I'm doing is basically the first sort of stuff you'll do in the first few hours of Iceborne. So factoring in there's a lot more monsters to fight, a lot more kind of stuff to do, then it makes me incredibly excited. Now, outside of that, of course, Celiana, I think is a really, really cool new hub. I was never a huge fan of Astera in Monster Hunter World. Like, aesthetically, it's a really cool layout, and I do like the vertical nature of it from like a, kind of like story design point of view, but from an actual gameplay perspective, it's kind of annoying, right? Having to kind of go up and down the lifts and stuff. So Celiana is much more reminiscent of, the more traditional Monster Hunter hubs. In fact, it kind of gave me this sort of Poké Village vibes, partly because it's snowy and whatnot, but having everything in this nice central location where you can very easily access things made it a really cool space to explore. One of the things that I did also want to talk about, which I didn't really get to show you guys because I wasn't allowed to show you menu stuff, but the customization in the rooms was really impressive. So they've put this new system in where there's tons of stuff you can customize. You can change the floor, you can change the walls, you can change the curtains, you can change the shelves on the walls, the bookshelves, the tables, the chairs, your bed. There's like patterns you can put on the curtains, colours you can change, there's flower beds you can change. They've basically just like doubled down on the customization you can do in your room to really make it a super personal space. Now, yes, admittedly, this probably also means that kind of links into the sort of things like they're the things they could sell, because obviously in the collector's edition there are some, you know, unique room customization options. I don't know whether that's where they're going to go, but that does of course lay the foundation for, hey, we could sell you some new curtains and stuff, but you know, realistically, that stuff is not going to impact your gameplay, so I couldn't really care about that stuff too much. The way that the menu looked, it looked kind of like the sort of things you'll unlock as you play throughout the game as well, so I'm kind of hoping that, you know, much like how we unlocked new rooms as we progressed through low to high rank in World, kind of hoping that we'll unlock more menus and more kind of options in the room as we progress in G rank. But that was really cool to see. Obviously, also on the customization front, if you saw that video, the fact they've got new beards is exceptionally awesome, because the beard they had before was kind of like a little short beard, but now they've actually got like a proper wise man long beard, and they've got some like, you know, thicker beards, they've got afros and stuff. So basically, from everything that I've seen so far, like a lot of the things that people have been asking for in World before, like a lot of things that people were, you know, they said that were missing from the game, they've basically just turned around and be like, we put it in World. They were like, hey, where are the afros? Where are the customization options? Yo, we've got them for you. We've got more room customization. We've got more monsters. We've got subspecies. We've got like new gear stuff. We've got like a better gathering hall where you've got access to everything. Iceborne really, from what I've played, just does feel like they've just taken everything we wanted, pushed it into an expansion, given us even more stuff, even more content, and I'm excited. Honestly, I cannot wait to play. Now, yeah, it is one of those things where people will be like, well, what are the negative points? And like, it's hard to say, because initially, from my time playing, like I've only played the first 4 hours of the game, so I don't really know how it pans out. I don't know like how long the story's going to be. I don't know how long the golden line's going to be. I don't know how long it's going to feel until, say, it starts to dry up again. But what I can say is that given that World gave me a solid 1,000 hours, then I'm not really worried about what Iceborne's going to give me. One thing I am really hoping they do is I do hope they kind of work on some kind of more established endgame, because Endgame in World was probably where it was lacking a little bit, right? We got to the point where you were effectively fighting like 5 monsters. You fought most of the elders, a lot of the other monsters weren't really worth your time. You went through investigations and you kind of did the event quests, and after a little while, it didn't really give you too much to kind of go back and replay. And I think part of the reason for that, I've spoken about this before, but I think part of the reason for that is also the shift with the decoration and the charm system. It sounds like a weird thing, but like simply by changing it so that you randomly get decorations and you can craft charms versus previous games where you would randomly get charms and you can craft decorations, that as one simple thing drastically changed the whole gear game, and as a result I feel like it limited the end game to a degree. I don't see them changing that. In fact, they aren't going to change that because decorations still function the same way, but I feel like that is one of the things that kind of hindered it. But if they can implement something, and they've done this in previous Monster Hunter games, right? Anytime there's been like a G rank expansion, 4 Ultimate had like, you know, guild quests with these areas you could explore. Generations Ultimate had all the, you know, super deviants and stuff. So I'm hoping that Iceborne introduces their equivalent of that, because if they do, then that could result in some really, really exciting endgame, and that can kind of give people something to kind of come back to keep grinding on, and basically just keep playing. So that is my one thing. That's the one thing I hope to see, but that's obviously something that I won't get to see until the game comes out, because even when you get to go to events like this, they never show you endgame. They always show you just the early stuff, so I'm gonna have to wait. Either way, I'm excited, had a bunch of fun, really enjoying it. I'm super excited to see what else they do with the rest of the game, and expect lots of videos. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.